Your controllers are one of the most crucial components of your VR immersion. Why should you have to deal with impossible to open battery covers? Why should you deal with lame straps tethering your virtual hands to your real wrists? Why should you deal with sweaty controllers during your most active VR sessions? That's where BoBoVR steps in with their rechargeable grips for the Meta Quest 3 that solve all of these issues. Because you should be able to enjoy gaming without the hassle of dead batteries and sweaty controllers. Here's what you get in the box: instruction manual, controller charging dock, the rechargeable batteries, new controller battery covers that you do need to replace on your controllers, the 2 grips, a set of backup straps, and a charging cable. By the way, if you want to immerse deeper and play smarter, then subscribe to the channel for more content like this. So, there's no faster way to kill the vibe than asking for a subscription and dead batteries. After a long day of work, you get home, you throw on your headset and grab your controllers to get into virtual reality, just to get hit by actual reality. Your controllers are dead. And then begins a surgical procedure. Pop open the battery door, or at least try to. Pray to whatever god you have, offer a blood sacrifice, and then hope that the damn thing actually pops off. Because half the time it does feel like you're about to break the controller just trying to change the batteries. You pop those suckers out, and then you're rummaging through drawers like it's a game of Lethal Company and you have to hit quota this round. At this point, it's not just an inconvenience, it's actively breaking your immersion. That's where BoBoVR rechargeable grips and the dock that comes with it step in. The battery doors have these metal points that magnetically attach to the dock to wirelessly charge. The points are surprisingly magnetic, but they're not really foolproof. I did find myself a few times having to make sure I actually had the grips on the dock correctly to make sure they were charging, but it did seem pretty forgiving in that. The dock also has lights on it to indicate the charge level of your controllers. Orange means that they're charging, white means they're fully charged, and if there's no light, then they're not charging at all. The rechargeable batteries themselves have 800 milliamp hours worth of charge, which is less than a standard AA, but unless you're gonna be playing for weeks straight, you're really not gonna notice the difference, and it's still plenty enough charge to play extremely long sessions. No more stealing batteries from other appliances in the house, no immersion broken, just a clean setup ready whenever you are. The next issue is that lame wrist strap. It's 2025 and we're still securing our controllers with Youth Pastor drip. One errant throw and you're looking at a price tag for some new controllers. And yeah, it does kind of give Wii Sports energy, but it's not just about looks. BoBoVR's grips aren't just functional, they also feel premium. And I'll be honest, I wasn't sold on the knuckle strap at first. I had never used one before, so it did feel kind of weird, but all change feels weird, so once I adjusted them, the controller really locked to my hand, and now it slides on like a well-fitted glove. The Velcro on the straps adjusts to any hand size, so no matter how weird your hands are, they will fit. And the material of the strap honestly feels really good against my skin. It took a second for me to get adjusted to that feeling as well, but once I have, it is a good feeling material. The strap can detach from the sleeve off the bottom if you want it to, but it does feel rock solid mid-fight, whether you're on population 1 or you're throwing some punches in thrill of the fight. So basically what I'm saying is these things aren't flying off unless you want them to. So now that I've had some playtime with them, I completely trust the straps to keep the controllers in my hands. And it does give me an extra layer of immersion, making the controllers feel like an extension of me. So they really put the power back in your hand, literally. And it doesn't really feel like a luxury upgrade. It kind of feels like the price of admission to step further into immersion in VR. But we'll talk about that a little more later, because first I have another question. Have you ever gone to throw something in VR only to feel your controller slide just a little too far? When your controller's sweating just as much as you are, and if you're anything like me, that's all the time, it's kind of like trying to win a prison fight with nothing but your wits and the bar of soap, because in that moment, your own body, your own hands turn against you. But alas, it doesn't have to be that way. BoBoVR's grips are built for sweaty palms and aggressive movement. The sleeve hugs the controller very tight, no shifting, no gaps, and the texture on both the inside of the palm and on the outside by your fingers helps it stay locked in during intense gaming sessions. There are little holes around the grip on the controller, and that's simply to let the tracking lights still do what they need to do so that your headset never loses track of your controllers. The button and stick placement are unobstructed by the sleeve as well. And on the inside, there's a subtle little bumper for the controller. So anytime you set them down very hard, it'll help protect it. So the bottom line is I don't feel like I need to hold back with how crazy I'm getting with the controllers with these grips on. I can throw, swing, punch, dive if I wanted to. Basically, BoBoVR helps turn my hands from working against me to actually working with me again. Because with your grip locked in, you stay locked in. You stop worrying about the real world and you become one with the virtual one. Remember earlier in the other 50,000 times I mentioned the word immersion? Then let me ask, do you pull your punches a little because your brain is saying, don't you fucking throw that controller into the TV? Well, that hesitation breaks immersion. It takes you out of the moment and slams you back into your living room or your mother's basement. So you're no longer spelunking a dungeon in VR. You're thrust back into the real world with your real world problems. That immersion only works when your brain trusts your setup, and BoBoVR's grips give your brain that trust. No slipping, no hesitation, just you, Matt, and the game. And suddenly you're not really thinking about gear. You're just thinking about how much fun you're having in VR. You're thinking about gameplay, tactics, strategy. You're fully immersed. And immersion isn't a tech spec. I can't show you a graph or any specific data that tells you you are immersed. It's simply a feeling you get in VR. And that feeling gets sharper when there's nothing holding you back. VR games ought to let us unwind, not create more real world issues for us. But when there's real world problems with it, even escapism becomes a chore. BoBoVR presents a small but impactful piece of the puzzle for your immersion. And they're getting us one step closer to Ready Player One. And if you don't trust my word, then trust the words of Marcus Aurelius, who once said, "It is a ridiculous thing for a man not to fly from his own badness, which is indeed possible, but to try and fly away from other men's badness, which is impossible." In other words, you can't fix every flaw in meta system, but you can fix the ones you're holding directly in your hands. And speaking of hands, if you just picked up a Quest 3 and you're really not sure what to do with it yet, then go and check out this video over here for a complete beginner's guide to your Meta Quest in 2025. And if you want to buy smarter and game harder, then click subscribe for more content like this. Peace.